Good evening. My name is Victor Robledo. I'm the founding director of Startup Grind Monterey Bay. It gives me great honor and pleasure to be seated here with the CEO and president of the LifeAID Beverage company, Orion Melehan and Hinde. Welcome.
Thank you, Victor. Thank you for having us.
Have you guys, here at Startup Grind, we start off with the foundation of you. Have you guys always been entrepreneurs?
Yes, the short answer is yes. Before this endeavor, I personally was a solopreneur. I was a certified financial planner. I had my own financial planning practice for about almost 10 years, both in Southern California and moved back home here to Scotts Valley, where we're here today. And I was a solopreneur, and I lived in the community for 5 years, back in the community for 5 years, when I met this guy, Aaron, who happened to own one of the most successful chiropractic clinics in Santa Cruz County as well. So for 10 years.
Even before that, I mean, he's failing to mention that he had a record store when he was in college. So the entrepreneurial days go a little bit beyond.
That is right. That's my first business. Was as I had a DJ record store in Santa Barbara while I was attending college at UC Santa Barbara. Thank you.
Which does have relevance to our current beverage line.
Were your parents entrepreneurs as well? Did you come from a long line of entrepreneurs, or?
Yes, my dad actually owns Special Effects Arcade, and right down the street from where we are, one of the first arcades in the country, and I worked at that arcade, and I saw my dad dealing with the employees, just loving his business, working way too hard. So that certainly was impacted me from an early childhood. And Aaron's father was an entrepreneur as well.
Yeah, my dad always encouraged us to tinker with our own businesses growing up, and you know, I've had several businesses, many of which didn't succeed to the level of success that we're fortunate to experience today, but definitely learning experiences along the way. I actually brought one of my previous inventions here. So this is actually the last full bottle of LifeAID eye drops that I know of, unscathed, unopened. But this was a business that I had, along with many others. But this was an eye drop for the kind of the head shop markets. This actually did real well as far as distribution goes. But I learned that
I think you entered it too early after those propositions passed in Washington and Colorado. Maybe you should sell your interest in LifeAID to me and pursue LifeAID.
Maybe. I still own all the IP, so it's a possibility.
So throughout your entrepreneurial journey, as you're learning, you're building businesses, were there any key things that stood out to you as far as the hard work that it takes to start the company? As far as the intangibles, was it a pursuit of passion or conviction to start these companies in the early stages? What actually takes to start all these companies and continue them until you see them to be a success?
It takes big huevos, first of all. You know, I mean, leaving the comfort. We both had very comfortable and lucrative professions, and we both have families. So I think that was for me, just pushing the chips all in and having a supportive spouse and family was big. I mean, passions, you got to have passion as an entrepreneur. You got to have the vision as an entrepreneur. But passion and vision alone aren't going to get you there, because I think probably, the vast majority of entrepreneurs, fail, if not once, multiple times. And they all have passion, they all have vision. So it's not just the only thing that you have to have. You probably have to mix a little accurate thinking in there and make sure that you're listening to the marketplace and timing the market right, and actually have a quality product that's going to be accepted in your.
I would also like to mention the other endeavors that we did outside before we met each other, and we can get into that story. But none of those endeavors have translated to quite the success that we're having at LifeAID, and that's the intangible component of meeting a business partner and the right people to get into business with, to get to a greater level than you could independently. And that's kind of the relationship and the business relationship and the friendship that Aaron and I both share.
Were there any things that you've learned through, let's say, Scholastic specifically, as you were growing up, right, that helped you as entrepreneurs? If so, what were those things while in Scholastic's platforms?
Yeah, education is certainly a component of being an entrepreneur. Really, my education was more general instead of specialized, and I think personally for me that's made me a better entrepreneur. Building a company from the ground floor, you have to do a little bit of everything to succeed. Neither of us are specialists in any one area and are only pigeonholed into that area, so we're more broader thinkers. So with regards to education, the more specialized you get, that certainly could help you. But and my entrepreneurial journey, I was more of a generalist. I think that helped me at the end of the day be a better entrepreneur, knowing a little bit of everything and knowing how to achieve the end goal rather than being too specialized.
I'd say my education pretty much helped me.
Yeah.
Zero.
Right.
I mean, I was a econ business undergrad, and looking back at what I learned, beyond a kind of a basic econ course, a lot of that doesn't really apply. I probably learned more, selling supplements out of my dorm room, which I did for 4 years, than I did actually in the classroom personally.
How did the idea of LifeAID Beverage Company come about? What's the story of that, the evolution of it from the starting point of the idea itself?
Well, it started with a friendship is what it started with. Aaron and I met in a CrossFit gym. I got him into golf, and as he pointed out, my first business was as a DJ record store in Santa Barbara. And so with those three passions and the friendship, we had a lot of fireside chats like we're having right now, and imbibed a few drinks and had a concept for specific supplements to improve your specific avocation. The first iteration was a pill form supplement company that was focused on different niches, and that evolved into being a drink when we sat down and we said, well, if the end goal was to be a supplement, no-dose would be winning the energy drink war and there wouldn't be any Red Bull. So once we came to that realization in our discovery period, we said, no, this has got to be a drink. And after we decided on a drink, it was pretty rapidly that this whole AID versus ADE evolved. And I remember the night I called him, and we got 72 domains over the course of 1 week. And with AID, I mean, we owned all the .coms. When we got golferaid.com for $12, we figured, this is such an obvious idea that no one has ever executed on, that told us that we were being led down a very interesting and promising path.
But I'd say to back up a little bit further, once the decision was made to pursue kind of supplements in liquid form over kind of a pill form, we knew that we really wanted to create something that was like very clean and healthy. I mentioned we both have families, we have young kids, and they'd come home with these little juice boxes, and they kind of look healthy if you look at them, right? But you start reading the label on these things, a little 6-ounce juice box, it's 30 grams of sugar, and it's just ridiculous if you literally look at how much sugar that is, right? It's like half the box is like solid sugar, and then the rest is water, And so our kids are being marketed to in this way that, is pretty unethical. I mean, especially if you consider, the diabetes epidemic and all the stuff that's going on with, negatively affecting our healthcare in America. So we knew we wanted to create something that was really healthy and clean, but we also wanted it to serve a function. You know, we saw the success of the energy drinks, and nobody really is disillusioned enough to think that, you know, energy drink is healthy for them, but it serves a purpose. It jacks you up, it gives you energy, and it's effective in doing that. So we knew we wanted something that served a purpose, that was functional, but also was healthy and clean. And I think the third component, equally as important, we wanted something that was kind of cool, sexy, and hip. You know, there's a lot of stuff on the market, especially being here from Santa Cruz. You know, we got the kombuchas and the chias and coconut waters and that kind of thing, but that's not what the kids are reaching for when they go down the grocery aisle. They're reaching for, you know, the energy drinks, the sports drinks, because, you know, they've got that appealing, kind of cool, sexy look to them. So we wanted to create something that, you know, the kids and teenagers would actually be drawn to, that we could give kind of a wink to the mother and say, it's okay, you know, it's actually a pretty good product, and you know, you'll feel okay giving it to your kids.
We knew what we wanted to do in a very rapid amount of time. And a lot of companies create a product and then they have to figure out, you know, their identity. And we really had our identity from the outset, even before we went down to the flavor house, and we kind of had this crazy story of how do you actually produce a drink, and that's another discussion. But that's helped us from day one, knowing that we really had a corporate identity and a vision that is at the core and that guides us every day.
So as you were developing this corporate identity, right?
Mm-hmm.
You said that was first and foremost, and then the product evolved as a result, as that foundation, having that corporate identity and that vision.
I can give a good story that kind of supports that. You know, we went down to our flavor house, who we're still with today, and we met with the food scientists, and we had a ingredient list and some preliminary artwork, and kind of handed the scientists the ingredient list and said, you know, this is what we want to create, and we want to create this product, but we don't want to use any artificial colors, flavors, or sweeteners. We want to keep it real clean. We want to keep the sugar content to something that's, you know, raw and organic and very low. And she looked at it.
We should stop and say, Aaron being a chiropractor and being a supplement taker and being deeply into nutrition. I mean, look at the guy that has significantly helped the company, knowing that here's what we need, here's how you formulate it, instead of here's our idea, okay, you go ahead and develop this product for us. So we had a leg up on most other companies, having someone that could help guide that whole process from the outset.
Well, I would say help guide, but we weren't apparently realistic in our expectations, because what we handed that food scientist, the first thing she said is, well, you know, you can't create this product. What you need to do is you need to cut the supplement level in half, and then you might have something to work with, but it's going to be very difficult with your current formula to create anything that tastes good without using artificial sweeteners or jacking it up full of sugar. And we said, well, we're not willing to do that. You know, if that's what it's going to take, then we'll find someone else that can create it. And
Also, we are one of the first mid-calorie drinks on the market.
Right.
So when we went down to the flavor house, okay, well, 40 grams of sugar is, you know, usual for an energy drink. You want to go down that path. If you don't go down that path, we're going to have artificial sweeteners. It's going to be 0-calorie drink. And we're like, no, well, we need something to taste good.
Yeah.
We need to use natural sweeteners. It doesn't have to be 0-calorie, because the people that are engaged in these activities are burning calories the whole time. So we were one of the first drinks that's right in that mid-calorie range, 45 calories per can, which is unique to the product as well.
Mm-hmm.
So when did you know that once you dialed in the product, were there evolutions of, hey, we need to refine this, we need to go out and test it? Was there a moment of testing the product before you officially launched? Were you still in the discovery phase, or what phase were you once you developed the product?
We went down to the beverage scientists, and we have a very big idea, and the idea starts with AID. We're one of the first companies to brand the suffix of the name, meaning we can just develop a product that's effective for any group of people that we felt that needed the product. When we went down to there, we had a portfolio and we had one of the products that we kind of were leaning towards, and he said no. And he's a beverage realist, right?
Yeah.
So he's very jaded by we're one of literally a handful of companies that has been successful. He's formulated 10% of the beverages on the market.
Wow.
And so he guided us towards, well, I've never seen a drink for golf, and LifeAID was one of our products, and we thought that, and we were correct, that there's this trend towards health and fitness in golf. So that was our first product, and we, we raised money from friends and family on the back of a napkin, the same old story. And entering the drink business is not a cheap endeavor, but we raised just enough money to produce, we were just talking about 400 cases of product, which almost were never produced in the first place for a whole host of reasons. We were going to be stalled out until after the summer months, and it was going to be a disaster, but somehow everything worked out as it always has for our company. We were able to produce 400 cases of product in May, and so we bought our first 10 refrigerators for LifeAID.
Wow.
We figured, we were our golf product. There's no refrigerators in the golf shop. That's real estate that no one is monetizing right now. And so we got literally 7 golf courses to say yes to the product, and then we took those 400 cases and we just kind of gauged in an alpha test what the velocity of sales would likely be based on those first 400 cases of product. And 400 cases, we're selling more than that every day now.
Wow. So that initial stage of 400 cases, how long did it take you to sell that, to go through them?
That took us until, I think, December, 6 months or something around there.
And now you're doing that every
day.
Every day.
Wow.
So Ryan mentioned that we almost didn't make our run. We shouldn't be writing all this down because it does bring back some fun memories. We actually, when you run these cans, right? Most people think, oh, I'm going to go get a drink made. Well, it's not quite that simple. I mean, just to run one of our cans, you got to run 202,000 cans, right?
Wow.
So as a startup entrepreneur with, basically your savings account, you just buried into this business, that's a big nut to cover. And we didn't have the money. And so there's another option. You could do what's called a shrink sleeve, which basically means that they put a wrapper over a can instead of printing on a can, okay? So I could take any can that's not filled with anything yet, just a can, even if it's printed on, and put a wrapper over the top of it.
They're called silver
bullets, right? These blank cans. But it's not like you can go down to the hardware store and buy these silver bullets. They have to be literally, for some bizarre reason, left over that didn't get printed on from somebody's run. So we're calling, and these guys don't want to, they're dealing with all the big boys, the Coke, Pepsi, Red Bull of the world, right? They don't want to deal with one pallet of silver bullets. They don't give a shit about you or anybody else, right? So the guy blew us off, we stayed on him. So finally we had this idea, we need to garner some reciprocity. So what we did is we bought $100. I think we probably had $500 in our bank account left, but we spent 20% on it. We bought him a $100 Roost Chris gift certificate and sent it to him and said, thanks for taking the time to talk with us. It was a personal note, even though he shot us down, right? And I sent it to him, and then 3 days after he got, he's like, hey, I found this pallet of silver bullets you guys can buy. And so that's kind of how we started.
What kept
you got to know how to grease the wheels, that's for sure. That's we've learned that.
What kept you guys going through, obviously there were some failures throughout your journey of entrepreneurism. What has kept you guys going to where you're at right now? You can pinpoint that.
Well, besides our friendship and having a partner in crime that lets me know I'm not completely crazy and out there by myself or Don Quixote, a support system with my family and my wife is certainly something that has kept me going. My parents are very supportive, friends and family. There's been a lot of support that I've personally had. And I know he shares the same support system. And a lot of other, along the way, we've met the right advisors. We've had a ton of different advisors, and some that have given more relevant suggestions than others, but that's been extremely helpful. Some of the tipping points in our business has been finding the right advisor for the right moment that can give you one takeaway idea that you can literally take your business to the next level.
Yeah, the little wins along the way are huge. Us having each other to lean on and having having the family support, you couldn't do it without that. But at the same time, I think, you're grinding along, and you're testing markets, and you're trying to, figure out where you're going to get traction, and then you get a win. You turn $1 into $10, and you're like, hey.
That didn't happen until much later that we turned it on.
You start pressing that, and you get we had little wins along the way where we would get traction, and then it would kind of open up a new realm of thinking, and we'd, continue to test different markets and different concepts until we really found one that just really started.
But back to your point and answering it more directly, a company is as good as its product, and we were fully convinced that we had the best product on the market. And all of the marketing and all of us crying on each other's shoulders and all of the passion, if you don't have the right product or company, you still have a much greater uphill battle. So we've worked hard along the way, but we were blessed to have a great concept, a great product that was developed out of it, and identifying a great need that wasn't being met in the market.
If you could think back to a moment, and we'll do flags, where you can say, this is it, this is the moment that I either A, go into this entrepreneurism, or go back to, let's say, a 9-to-5 job or a professional career. Has there ever been a moment like that, and you can reflect back on that moment?
Probably early in my experience as a financial advisor, I remember I bought, my daughter was born, I bought a house, and I changed careers all in the same weekend. And that was a lot of pressure that was on me, and I remember my mentor in my old profession, okay, I'm going to pay for your medical insurance, I ain't going to pay you a dime more, you got to go out there and hunt and survive on your own. And those first couple of years were pretty tough. But after that, and getting some traction, getting some recurring income, and getting that base, and having survived the travails of being working for yourself, the point where he and I met each other and decided to go into business, that was an easier transition for me than going from my 9-to-5 to working for myself, because I didn't have the crutch of a paycheck, which is now that we're entrepreneurs, now that we employ 18 people, now we look to incentivize them and give them enough goodies so they don't want to leave to go be entrepreneurs. Although we congratulate them if they did, by the way.
Yeah, my transition probably wasn't, I'd say, difficult either. I mean, I was pretty convinced that it was the right move for us. We actually both sold our professional practices right around the same time. We had a discussion, and we started getting traction with Golf-Aid and in the Golf Channel, and we got up to right around 500 golf courses were selling our product. And then it was like, look, we can't keep working our regular job and continuing to grow this thing out. And you like have one foot in each pool here, so it's like time to commit fully. And
no plan Bs.
It was kind of a burn the ships at the shore.
Once you get the inclination that what you're doing is going to be successful, you can't have. We decided we can't have a plan B. That we had a hint enough of success, that we were passionate enough about the product, and that we were good enough entrepreneurs to be able to pull it off. So.
Were there any individuals that ever doubted you guys, that said, what are you doing? You guys are nuts for trying to do what you're doing as far as entrepreneurism? Or have you always had that support system, like you said? But has there been individuals that say,
many haters, many haters.
I wouldn't say haters, just people that didn't share the vision many times, yes.
I would say my attorney and accountant and stuff are going, what are you talking about? You're going to sell your practice? You're going to walk away from that? I mean, it was generating $350,000 a year for 10 years straight. So it's like, you're going to go away from that and go into a job that you literally are not going to pull any income from. It's like zero. And not only that, you're going to put your whole savings into it. So they were definitely giving me the eye, like, I don't think this is the smartest move.
Well, the attorneys and the CPAs, their job, they're not risk takers inherently. They have the opposite job.
But also along the way, you know, various people you pitch to or you meet. Look, you want to take, you know, I think all advice from reputable advisors seriously. You mentioned passion earlier. I mean, you know, a lot of entrepreneurs, I think, probably get a little bit blinded by their passion, and that's why, you know, a lot of entrepreneurial startups and, you know, will fail ultimately because we get a little bit too blinded and we're not thinking accurately. So, you know, you take it. I'll give you an example of some advice that we did take that really was beneficial. You know, here we had 3 drinks on the marketplace. So we had Golf-Aid first, like Orion mentioned. Shortly after that, we had FitAid on the market, which was kind of targeting functional fitness, especially the CrossFit market. We also had PartyAid, which was kind of our first concept. That was our 3rd drink, focusing on more the, you know, Burning Man party scene. So it was almost like 3 different businesses. I mean, literally, we would be going week to
3
week,
different channels,
putting on our golf outfits, doing a PGA show. You know, we'd be doing Burning Man, we'd be doing the CrossFit games. You know, these are all different, very different communities. So we're running kind of 3 businesses under one tent, and some advisors that we, you know, are still close with today said, look, focus on one and make one uber successful. Yeah, focus on a single target market. And so we took that to heart, and we went back and we said, okay, which one of these 3 has the most traction? And it was FitAid, even though FitAid didn't have the most saturation account-wise or the most revenue, it had the most traction, and the growth trajectory was the steepest. So we put all our eggs into the FitAid basket, and that's really what's carried us to today. Is really focusing on FitAid and seeing that be a huge success.
When did you start getting your first employees, right? And was that difficult to transition from just you 2 individuals, you know, operating as entrepreneurs, and now you have individuals that you have to lead? Was that a difficult transition to become leaders, or do you feel you've always been able to lead individuals?
I think we're still working on it. I think Aaron's had employees in the past, so I've leaned on him for some of that. It's been a little bit more challenging for me. Our first employee was actually my sister-in-law, who moved up here, that happened to be on unemployment. She was on unemployment for a 1.5 years, so we didn't have to actually pay our first employee, which is very nice. And she's a key part of our company still today. But the growth that we're going through right now is specifically on this, becoming leaders, at dealing with, you know, personal relationships, figuring out how you can allocate your human resources the best, and relinquishing, you know, what, you know, no one's ever going to do it as good as you, but giving up your power to certain individuals and watching them grow. These are all the things that we're working on right now, and that's kind of the transitional period that we're in as we speak.
We've got a great team right now. I mean, I think one thing that we've learned quite effectively is, you know, be very slow to hire, quick to fire. So we've only had to really let a couple people go since the inception, and we learned a lot from having to go through that process. So we really slowed the hiring process down, and we take a lot of time in onboarding new employees, making sure that we're the right fit for them and they're the right fit for us, and that they really buy into the company culture and what we're all about. I mean, our mission is to get people off of this high sugar, high caffeine, high sodium garbage that's out there and onto healthier lifestyles, and we're doing so now. You know, selling 1 million cans a month. Well, we have enough traction where we can say we're making an impact on people's health on a large scale now, and so we've got a great team, and that's a huge thing as an entrepreneur and in a startup situation, is to make sure that you're surrounding yourself with the right employees.
With the right employees, right team members, as we call them, not employees. But now we're starting to hire much smarter people than us too. So if you want a business that can persist beyond the founding team, if you're the smartest person in the world, or in the room, you're not doing your job as a business leader,
Okay.
because you're solely dependent on you, and then the value of the business is going to be dependent on you, and that's not how to build sustainable business, and we're taking that philosophy to heart.
What's the next 10, 20, 30 years look like for you in LifeAID?
They call it the BHAG, the big, hairy, audacious goal. What is that? Well, we are pioneering a new category. We call that category lifestyle nutrition. We believe that is the natural evolution of energy drinks rather than just jacking it up on sugar and caffeine.
Yeah.
We're going to provide you with the targeted nutrients for your particular application. With that said, our product has a natural advantage to the other products on the market. Not only is it better for you, but it's targeting different niche communities, of which we bring under this kind of AID umbrella.
Okay.
So we believe that there are many channels for our products. As you can see right there, we have many different opportunities for channel distribution with our products. Red Bull certainly is one of our ideal companies in terms of marketing, and we think that we have the opportunity in this new category of lifestyle beverage to be a leader in that, and that we will have as many points of distribution as, say, a Monster or a Red Bull.
I mean, FitAid's already the #1 drink in functional fitness for recovery. Party Aid's getting a lot of traction, and like I said, in kind of the Burning Man community. Golf Raid's kind of a no-brainer for golfers that are really taking care of their bodies and their mental condition. We have Travel Aid launching later this year. Boost your immune system while you travel. We have Focus Aid.
Just think to deal with the head lead distributors of San Jose.
Yeah, you'll see our product
San
line
Francisco.
in San Jose and San Francisco airports now, and we'll be likely rolling out Travel Aid as an exclusive in those channels coming up. But Focus Aid, workplace performance without the high sugar, high caffeine, the energy drink. So think college students studying for exams.
Google.
Actually,
Coming for you, Google.
corporate campuses. Would be a great fit for Focus Aid.
Yeah.
So as long as there's a core community that we can create a product that's differentiated enough, that the needs are different enough than any of our other drinks that are on the market, and we know that we can provide something that's very functional, efficacious, clean, and healthy, and still consistent with our kind of 45 calories, all natural, very clean approach to things, then we're about making it. Now, why do we have FitAid, Golf Raid, and Party Aid? Well, those are the 3 markets that we know personally. We know Focus, we know Travel as well, so it helps when we're part of that community. But as we expand our team and bring on people that have expertise in other applications, then we'd be open to creating a specific drink for that.
The advantage we have, and that's why we went fully into the business, is that instead of having one SKU, say a Red Bull, I'm just gonna, as the leading energy drink out there, functional beverage actually, which is a broader category, that having that one SKU for surf, for extreme sports, for tennis, for skiing, or movie theaters, any focus, that's the advantage that we have over the other drinks. They're less targeted, and everyone is moving towards kind of personalization and customization. We all see it in the people we follow on Facebooks, the groups that we associate ourselves with. So we are taking all of those forces, and we're kind of putting it in a 12-ounce can that's ready to drink and healthy.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you guys coming down and chatting with us.